Of course, walking in front of that was going to make some fun noise. Hi, I'm going to get some help because a lot today, now we're talking a little bit about making, and I agree with most of the things. Actually, it's lots of wonderful things happening here, learning. Actually, MakerFaire is a magnificent learning platform. You can see kids just soaking in information all the time walking through here. So today, I'm going to show a little bit about what we've done and what Strawbees is and how that can actually be inside or outside education, but be one of those things that just makes your little brain go and you learn. So here's James, a colleague from Taiwan, and he's going to help me hold the microphone while I do some demos. So I love doing these things that don't really make sense, like this thing, having help talking, and showing something that's ridiculously small from the stage. Okay, do you see this very small thing everywhere? Great. So, a very short backstory here is that this little thing that I'm holding in my hand came to be because we wanted to make something that was some kind of construction toy, and we wanted to make use of regular materials like cardboard, plastic straws, all the things that you can find lying around, because we wanted it to be accessible, we wanted the material to be abundant, so you could just go and play in this environment. So, the reason I wanted to make the construction toy was because I brought one of my old designs, a clothespin, and the kid never ever used those clothespins as clothespins. They used them as construction toys. They built magnificent, huge things. I think I might have material. Yeah, wait a second. I'm going to show you this little clothespin now. So, this is my first tutorial. We have the Maker tutorial here for you all. I love having pretty open and making sessions here, so I'm going to take this piece of... Everybody use your imagination and think that this is a piece of plastic, okay? Are you in plastic mode? What color is it? Red. Red? Is red plastic? Yeah. It's pink. Yeah. We're in some kind of red areas. This is some red plastic, preferably 0.5 millimeters or 0.8 millimeters thick. Do you see it? Great. So then you take your piece of plastic, it doesn't really matter what color unless you really want a red clothespin. Then you take a pair of scissors, one of my favorite prototyping tools. So prototyping and making, doesn't matter what tools you have, you take what you have and then you start making something. So for example, I'm just going to cut this thing. You can't really see how I'm cutting it, but it's going to make sense in a little while. Basically, I need to cut some kind of little hole into a folded piece of plastic, and now we have a clothespin already. So now I need some kind of string, and let's take this wet t-shirt over here. Oh, there it is. You see this wet t-shirt that we need to dry? Now we need to find a clothesline. Luckily, we had a clothesline here. Wow! Such great luck. We have all these things on stage. See on the other end of the clothesline? And now I take my wet t-shirt, and I take my red piece of plastic, and I put it on top here, and I squeeze it over. Now, that clothesline was actually a little bit wide. Height of the clothesline. This is the important thing. Failing in front of people is the most amazing thing, but the second most, like the even more amazing thing, is when you make it work. So you show them this is what you do. If it doesn't work there, don't just throw it away to the side. Look at how can I improve this, so I'm making the hole bigger to adapt to this very strange clothesline that somebody brought. So now I made the hole bigger. Everybody follow that? In the red piece of plastic. Fold it over, it goes up, and it can hold the thing. And then you just squeeze this and twist it, and it releases your wet piece of clothing. Okay, so this is an example of the first little thing we made that turned into this thing. And then comes this, the Strawbee, a prototyping toy. So just like everybody talked about before, it's I'm going to show you. So, this doesn't just come as a design. This took me like 1.5 years of randomness to come up with. And then there was this teacher coming up to me because we had all our interesting machines that could cut stuff out of plastic and recycling machines. And they asked us, can't you make something that can make an icosahedron? And I'm like, yeah, I've seen lots of those connectors. I don't know what to do anything that's already out there. So I sat down with my computer, but it would be interesting just to be able to make that for the Indian kids for the machine. So let's give it a shot. So when I use my software, it's actually coincidence is that we have Autodesk here. So I made it in Inventor, and the first thing you do when you're going to draw a 5-legged thing in a computer is you make one leg, and then you spin that. And this is where the maker community comes in. The reason that we today can make like our own companies fast is because we have access to the gear. We had a hacked vinyl cutter, and we had plastic next to the computer, so I was like, well, okay, let's stop here with this invention. So I cut it out, this little thing. It had the dimensions to fit in the straw. So I have my straws here. Now we have, this is magnificent. The first thing, wow. 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 Amazing. Drumsticks. Increase the weight of the end of the straws. But then the same thing goes in here. Snap. Wait a second. You can't hear that little snap. It's a little snap. And that's actually really hard to engineer. But now you have a mechanical straw. And that's where it starts, the wow thing. Because these things, now I can make any kind of connection. Instead of making those fixed angle things, I can make any connections. If I want to make more, I just add stuff to this. So anyway, this makes this into a strange sketching tool. It's a sketching for 3 dimensions. So I'm going to show you one of my little sketches here. Do you see what this is? That's actually one of the questions we almost never ask. What have you done? What is this? Because that's one of the most dangerous questions in the beginning of making. Because then they kind of have to shape it into something that they said. So in the beginning we leave them alone. We leave everybody just building things. But this one, it can be either a flower or a way of learning how pneumatics or hydraulics work. So just by having this mechanical ability of the thing, you can start building. And they can make up their own ideas. You don't have to tell them a single thing when we do these workshops. The problem is when we talk to schools, we kind of have to say that these are some instructions we have for you to start with. But every instruction we have ends in an openness, like an open-ended instruction plan, because we want every single thing that the kids build to be different. If we have 30 kids building something, we want 30 different objects at the end of the day, which makes failure of those, it doesn't really matter. It's interesting to see everything, because we look at the classroom as one research project, one big science experiment. So you have 30 different things, and maybe only 25 work. That's super okay. But it's even better if it's half don't work, and you can discuss what didn't work, what's strange with this. So I'm going to show you one of our first experiments that I use this for. So I have to fix this wet piece of clothing. So this is actually the second time we show this in public. This is a piece of cardboard. And this is one of our first experiments for classrooms to learn aerodynamics. So this is my shoe meringue. And this is our first in a series of biometric instructions. So if we have a classroom, most of them have very different arms, hands, feet, head, like shoes. So even their gear can be different. So this is, you take your... So now we're going to show this. Kids, if you come here. Now you follow this instruction, so remember this, you can do it at home. So you take, if you're right-handed, you take your left foot, put it on a piece of cardboard, along the lines of the cardboard. You can see the tubes in the cardboard. Have those along your foot like this. I draw with a pencil. Now you can see I had both the dirty foot, but that's not a big problem. Then we take one of my favorite prototyping tools again. The scissor. So this is where you have the classroom, everybody's sitting there cutting their different shapes. Everybody's excited, what is this gonna be? Because this is one of our most advanced aerodynamics classes, and we start out at 6 years old with this. So I cut my shoe out here. You see it? This is my shoe. Just like a professional chef, I prepared 2 more of these feet here. So this is the 3 feet shoe meringue. 3 pieces. Then you just spread them out evenly like this. Make a hole with your pencil. Regular pencil, once again material that's really easy and available. Squeeze it through here. And now, if you don't have Strawbees, you can just take tape or anything and put them together. But I really enjoy my prototyping toy here. So I make a little portion like this, put it through, take another Strawbee here, squeeze it in on top. So now we put it in the cardboard. Make sure these are as evenly spread as possible. You don't have to measure angles. Vision is okay for this. Does this look okay? Yeah? Now you're part of the design, so if we fail together. Very important to do that. And that's one way of taking away the stigma of actually having something that doesn't fly. You do it together and you're interested in the results. So if you make a really crazy shoe meringue, it's going to be interesting to see if it actually works. So now I make a second hole just to secure these at this angle that I decided was good. So this is one of the experiments where the kids can divert from the instruction if they want to, which is very important. This is what we want to teach them. This thing to figure out their own little concepts, their own ideas of what I want to try, to start like looking at how can we make our different designs as different as possible in this classroom. So I squeeze it in here. Now we have it. And now the only thing you need to do is fold up the toes, like this. Remember that? Fold up the toes. And then we talk about advanced concepts in aerodynamics, even with the youngest kids. Like this is the leading edge, this is the trailing edge of the wing. So you squeeze the leading edge if you want to make it even more aerodynamic, efficient. And then you fold the trailing edge down. So don't be afraid to use advanced concepts when you're talking about it, because they understand it when they see this and they actually make it. So fold the toes up, the trailing edge down. And now we have a bit of turbulence in here, which makes it even more interesting. So now it's, let's see if this is going to work. Should we try it? Is it okay if it fails? Let's start by throwing it that way. But this is the angle you want to throw This is the angle you want to throw a shoe meringue or boomerang at. It's not 90 degrees, it's a little bit tilted. Okay? Let's go. That went in a very tight curve. And this is what we want to teach. So now when we've done one thing, that's not important. Now the thing is like tweaking this, seeing what can we do. So I wanted this to go in a farther curve or slower motion. So I actually decrease the lift, because a boomerang works through generating lift. And this I showed through doing this. I can actually show you what it does. No problem. So you saw that was happening. It generates lift. When I throw it this way, it generates lift. It has gyro stability from spinning. And you can feel that if you start spinning this in your hand, it wants to stay still. So you can learn all these things through incredibly hands-on stuff. And now I'm decreasing this. You see, now it's a little bit, you can't even see this airfoil, but that's the thing. Let's see what happens now. It should go a little bit farther and slower. That's the air here. Air is also fluid. Hey! So all this tweaking, that's the iteration, making that, once I've done this takes 20 minutes. If you have a lot of cardboard, it's really easy to find. So that's not a thing that you will run short of. Because of these things, you don't have to glue anything together, you can take it apart. Especially in this weather, having this here makes it possible to fold it and convert it into a very convenient. So now you have innovation through the use of this. Another thing that we want to get spread through the classroom is also collaboration and science history. So does anybody know what this is? Anybody? Kite. Yeah, a kite. This is actually Alexander Graham Bell's old tetrahedral kite. So this is from the early 1900s. And he was actually experimenting with human flight at the same time as the Wright brothers, which almost everybody knows. But this one isn't as very well known, at least not in Sweden. I don't know how it is here. The thing is, this is really easy to make. And when we have a classroom, each kid makes their cell here. You put together 4 and 4, and you build your tetrahedral cell structure, which is a fractal structure. So it's self-repeating, so you can actually make 4 more of these, and then put them together, it still flies. So should we fly the kite indoors? And the kite, of course, works through wind blowing towards it. So in here we have a bit weird wind. It's not the same wind as outside. So instead of having wind blowing towards it, I'm going to run through the air, so the wind blows through against it that way. So I run, and you see it flies really well. It's actually one of the most stable kites you can build. It doesn't even have a tail. And then just continue modularly building them together. When we have workshops with these, the problem is they don't want to stop. They want to go to the next level. And each level means 3 times more work than you've totally done before that. So we teach them to either recruit more people, so you can be more people taking the same time. So if you recruit 4 more, so that's basically the pension system they're learning. Anyway, I just wanted to show some of the play we want to introduce, because as human beings, our brains are hardwired to stumble and fall and learn through those experiences. It's been evolutionarily programmed into our minds. And at 6 or 7, we stop doing that, because then we have to theorize on it, and only theorize almost. We stop playing. I'm 37 now, I play a lot. And I think my brain is still very active, so I can still learn some things at least. But this is how we teach. So we have these experiments, we have some simple start instructions, but basically what I want is having no instructions. Put it out there, make your thing, make a thing that moves. Don't necessarily make a thing that is something. And then afterwards, they can learn a little bit of lateral thinking, which is Edward de Bono is an old thinker, one of the 250 most influential people this century or something like that. But anyway, look at that thing that starts moving, for example this thing, and invent the value of this. What is it? What could it be? Could it be some kind of water collector, umbrella or something? That's also creativity, looking at something and turning it into something. So I just want to show 2 last things. This is our programming platform. We're making a new robotics platform. So this is a hovercraft. That is a hover dog. So this is actually autonomous, but today, because of security reasons, I'm not going to use it autonomously in here. So I'm going to radio control it. But how many of you have ever ridden or controlled or played with a hovercraft? You have some. This is one of the most amazing things to talk about, these advanced concepts, once again, aerodynamics, friction, vectors, and things that sound really boring. until you start experiencing them and trying to reduce like friction. So I'm going to show this. Do you want to see it? Shall we run it? I don't know how time is now because I've just been playing. I wanted to play on stage today. That's the thing. I'm really in the play mode. I can't help it at these occasions. I'm just going to grab this little remote control. Switch it on. Then I attach the battery. And as usual, oh no, it's stuck in the charger. Yeah, can you run and get, it's under the, we'll take another demo while he fetches the, we have one thing that's lacking here. Get the entire battery pack thing. That's also interesting. Now we have to improvise a little bit. So we'll switch over to this one. And this shows a little bit how things can like turn out. I was making a drone cage. So my goal was to make a drone cage that protects the people around it with Strawbees. So I started like just tinkering with this, attaching straw by straw, making something to protect it. And then it happens that we've invented another little thing that's actually charging. There are two things. James, if you hear me, in my backpack, there's actually the robot part. This one is there. If you got that one, can you get that too? Sorry. The little quirk part. So yeah, that was while describing that. We switch back to this. Once again, improvising. This is getting exciting, isn't it? You can start singing something. Oh, it's the wrong cable, yeah. Well, we'll improvise even more. This is what happens when you're building a 6-meter robot outside and you can't really prepare these things. So now I had to steal parts from the other construction to make an adapter. They're actually there. This is going to work now. Wonderful. Improvising on stage. Sorry for boring you. So this is all built with cardboard, some plastic bags, and there we are, Strawbees. So let's see. So what this does is, you see, when I turn on the propeller here, it starts spinning, so it blows air through this hole you see in the front. It takes that air and blows it out underneath the vehicle. So half of the air goes underneath and half goes backwards. And what happens then is, we lower friction towards the surface, and we have a vector facing forward. And the vehicle, for this one today, as usual, I always leave the stuff out for people to play with, so I should really, it's my own problem. Let's see. There we have it! Yay! Finally! So you see, it's like riding a bar of soap. And that's fun. I can run it really, really fast. And this is all. when we have this workshop, you can make any shape you want. How does a triangle float? How does a circle float? Because it's just cutting this, double-sided tape and a plastic bag. One of the experiments where we want 30 different vehicles in the classroom work. If you can afford it, it's like basically 5, so you have groups of 5. And then the last thing, flying wonder here, the crash cake. Batteries. Yeah. Plugging it in. Batteries to go. Following all the safety precautions here. Smell of durian somewhere here. Good. Squeeze it into your quadcopter. Okay, there's the remote. Yeah. Plug it in. Turn on the wings. These demos are usually faster, but I think now you get to see it making in action. There we are. Okay. Last demo. Quadcopter cage turned drone puppet. Now this one, as always, when the wonderful things come, is through some kind of accident. I didn't have an idea that I was going to build a strange manta ray quadcopter. I was just playing around, and then it started shaping into something. I started thinking, hey, this almost looks like something that's floating through the water. And then this came out. And then we have our little programming platform, which is this little thing here. So if you look at this up close, you can see that there's a little circuit board here blinking. And what's running this is just a tiny circuit board with a battery inside. And then this one regular servo and a lot of rubber bands. And this is what we want to show, that you don't have to have expensive gear or advanced stuff. You can just start playing around. If you have a servo, you can animate this yourself with your right hand. So you can actually use this with a regular remote control and do something. So, play more. Let kids be curious, explore things, figure out their own little goals. As a teacher, the only thing we need to find out is how can we be comfortable in having these almost undefined classroom experiences where they actually do this. You have to, the first 10 minutes can feel awkward. Once you pass that first 10 minutes, be confident in yourself enough to pass those 10 minutes and let people do things. And they're going to make amazing things. And then together, I get chills, because we've been doing this in a couple of classrooms around the world, and it works even though I can't speak the language. We start. It's always awkward the first 10, 15 minutes, and then it's chaos. And we're all like laughing when we see some inventions coming out of it. The boomerang I showed you, the shoemerang, that's my design. An 11-year-old girl made one of the best boomerang designs I've ever seen. And that's because she wanted to make a saw and make it fly. So she made a jagged edge on the back of the boomerang. And it flies laminarly through the air. It's one of those magnificent things. So, just play, have fun, and make sure you do that here at MakerFaire. Try as many things as you can and talk to people. They're the best teachers. Thank you very much.